Hey, how's it going, Sam? In this case, Encinitas residents. In this video, I'm talking about some of the hypocrisy going on in the Encinitas Traffic Commission, basically how it's become very one-sided, and they have members that are trying to reduce the amount of lanes in the city, which is going to make it impossible for anyone that commutes. And I'm also, in the first clip here, which you guys will see, this is me just talking to the commission. Second clip is asking them questions, and then the last few clips are of the commissioners pretty much saying, or at least more specifically Commissioner Darius saying that he wants to punish drivers for using the road, and that after 5 years they'll get on board and ride a bike to work or whatever the case may be. So lots of crazies going on here. So hope you enjoyed the video, and come to these meetings and tell these people, hey, this is not what you want, you don't represent me. So enjoy the video. How's it going, Commissioners? My name is Spencer Mosher. Here in regards to your lane dieting proposal on Highway 101, I have to say, being in the planning sector, that lane dieting does not work. Removal of lanes will cause more carbon emissions from the vehicles being stuck in gridlock, especially at rush hour. Like many of you that are here and live in the area, you'll know during rush hour it's pretty much impossible to go across, especially at Lucadia and the rail crossing there. You're not going to solve any of these issues by reducing lanes. I'm all for adding more bike paths and all that stuff, but you have the rail corridor, which is right there, which can easily handle more bikes and pedestrians. You can shift stuff over. There's many other plans on the table. You don't need to reduce lanes because it's just going to cause more congestion, and studies can prove that. Again, you also have the I-5 expansion, which is coming up, and where do you think all the traffic is going to go when they're doing that road work? It's going to go to Coast Highway. It's going to go on to city streets via detours. So you're talking about being conscious of the road infrastructure. Yeah, we do need to improve our road infrastructure, but this is not the way of doing it. You want complete streets. This is not the way. You need to increase the number of lanes in certain areas, especially on Manchester, going onto the I-5. And I believe there's already a plan with Caltrans, and I actually interviewed Caltrans, and they are increasing lanes right when you get to the freeway. That road was designed initially for 3 lanes in each direction to get people in and out of the city smoothly. But by reducing this, especially since a lot of people commute, like myself, I go to Carlsbad, I go downtown, wherever my work takes me, I'm always stuck in traffic getting in and out of the city. By reducing lanes, you're just causing a headache for people like me who need to commute. And I guess that's my point here. Please don't reduce any more lanes. It's not helpful for people who commute outside the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Spencer.
Well, last speaker, Chair.
Okay, well, before I turn it over to the rest of the council, I want to thank everyone. I believe we have one more speaker, so
We do.
we're going to take that speaker.
Okay. Are you still here?
Yep.
Spencer Mosher, please. Step to the podium. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, Commissioner, I just want to ask a couple questions, if I may.
Let me remind you, well, please, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, it's just in regards to the plan that you guys have forward with the lane dieting and stuff. And you're talking about roundabouts. Why haven't you considered putting in a double roundabout with a separated bike lane? And I also want to ask the Sheriff's Department, if I may, the liaison we have here from the Sheriff's Department, the number of bicycle incidents, where are they mainly from cyclists doing California stop at those intersections? And, or like what was the exact cause?
You're probably going to have to go make that request at the station. I will have the secretary, they have to look into data of the collisions and find out what the primary cause, because they're going to have to look into individual collision and find out what the primary cause of the collision is that. Okay. I can give you a generic answer, but that wouldn't be correct.
Sure. I guess I know we were trying to have safer streets, but we also have to look at people's actions, and I've seen it a couple times going past like Juanita's, where you get those huge groups of cyclists who just run the stop sign. Are these safety improvements mainly because we're trying to prevent someone from Darwinism? Or, what, I guess, what's the idea there? I guess I'll turn over to you guys.
Well, I think safety is based on all forms of traffic, both pedestrian, cycle, and vehicle. And so that is what we are trying to balance, and it is a difficult balancing act. And I don't think that we place one higher than the other. So we try to promote safety for all modes of traffic.
Okay.
That's my response.
Gotcha. And then my other question too, with the west alignment by Chesterfield, that actually got shot down from the Coastal Commission. I was there at that meeting. They denied the funding for it. So why are we talking about moving that back to that side of the road when it's already been denied by the state and could put your budget impacted for the bike trail project for the whole thing?
I can address that, Commissioner Grover. It was shut down as a coastal rail trail, but Coastal Commission supported it as a lane diet. So they didn't have a problem with the lane diet on that segment, with the traffic analysis that Sandak had done. They had a problem with it not meeting the spirit and intent of the coastal rail trail, which is why our city decided to move it back to the east side of the tracks. And after that happened, I think some folks, myself included, said, hey, the Coastal Commission said that road diet is appropriate, we should take that on as a city project, which is what we're doing now.
Okay, and then so I guess in your professional opinion, how would you go about improving traffic flow when, especially during high usage periods, so rush hour, it's always backed up there, especially getting across the rail trail, where they're going to put it. I mean, at Chesterfield, they're reducing the slip lane, they're getting rid of that. How do you offset the increased traffic over there? Do you put a bridge at Birmingham by any means, or do you look at any other alternatives that could alleviate traffic in the area?
To quickly wrap it up now, your 3 minutes is over. Do you want to briefly respond, Brian? Or
I'll respond to that. I'll respond as myself. I obviously don't speak on behalf of the commission, but also to your earlier point about reducing lanes. How can you do that when you've got all these vehicles that are trying to move south? I drive my car, I ride my bike. I obviously understand the concern. It's a legitimate concern. What we try to balance as a commission is what are the needs of our residents and the people who live in those communities. North Coast Highway 101 through Leucadia, for example, it's not a highway anymore. There's homes right up against it. It truly is a community. It's my community. It's several other folks' communities. And so given that people live there, that people walk across the street, that people eat there, patronize those businesses, I personally don't have a lot of, I don't feel bad for commuters who are coming from the far north, from Carlsbad, trying to commute to their job in Sorrento Valley or in La Jolla and try to get past the freeway congestion by going through my community. They can sit in that for hours for all that I care.
Wait. Did he just say what I think he did? Let's rewind the footage here and we'll double check that.
They can sit in that for hours for all that I care.
So the problem is, and this is the arrogance that is coming from the Traffic Commission, that they want everyone locally here to bike or take alternative modes of transportation to get to their jobs. Well, 90% of the people commute out, and they commute out fairly far distances like myself. So it's not the people that are commuting through, like that might live on the edge of Solana Beach or Carlsbad, that are cutting through Encinitas on Coast Highway or El Camino Real. That's not the issue. The issue is getting on and off the freeway and getting at these choke points, which is the rail corridor. And they don't understand by reducing lanes, it's going to cause more congestion, more carbon emissions, and all they seem to care about, and this is why some of these members are appointed by the mayor, is they are on board with the bike coalition. And that's why this agenda is getting pushed. So for people that commute out, there's a disconnect between the traffic commissioners because they're not properly representing the people that they're supposed to be volunteering for and serving. So I'll continue the clip here, but I just wanted to do a quick narration on this, and it's just kind of ridiculous. Actually, it's really ridiculous, but continuing the clip.
What I'm concerned about and what I think we're concerned about and what we're talking about with these projects is slowing down that traffic to, at the very least, the speed limit, which most people exceed right now, so that people feel safe crossing the street, so that they feel safe biking. And the community is our number one priority. Cut through traffic is my last priority.
But you could slow down traffic without them dying, I guess is my point.
Your time's up now.
All right, thank you.
Peter?
Lane, is it Lane?
No, I believe it is Spencer.
Spencer,
Yes.
could you come back to the podium?
Sure.
I'm gonna call a spade here a spade for a minute, because we're tippy-toeing. There's the intent, it certainly appears that from the top down, is that if we can encourage people to get out of their cars and ride bikes, we can cut down on cars and pollution. And so it certainly appears that everything that's going to happen is going to be based on that. In other words, we're gonna punish the drivers.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly how it feels like for someone living in the city who has to commute like myself. I mean, I get people being close to their jobs and wanting to commute if they work and live in the city.
Spencer, you need to wrap it up. So,
Sure.
Peter was responding, not a chance to get another bite of the apple. You have your 3 minutes.
All right, well, thank you.
Could I make a quick response as well?
Yes.
Spencer, it's part of a bigger question, right? If you ask someone like me, my view is that cars are the problem in Encinitas, that it is the most destructive aspect on our quality of life, is the increased traffic. And so, you know, I'm all for punishing drivers just a little bit in a nice way. I lived in Europe for a long time, and I saw this done just as part of the normal traffic strategies. You make people pay if they want to go into town a little bit. You cause it to slow down, and so it's not super convenient to use our neighborhood streets as cut-through corridors for commuters. So I'm with that sentiment.
Again, here's more of that arrogance where they're saying, well, I lived in Europe for X amount of years, and Europe did it this way, and it's so great. Well, big difference in Europe, though, is they heavily tax things. In some European countries, in the European Union, it is very expensive to own a car. Like in Germany, where Mr. Cole's from, is that it's really expensive to get your license and stuff out there, so it forces a lot of people to go and use mass transit, although the mass transit systems in Europe are, in some areas, better than here. So it's not really a thing of, oh, Europe did this and we can implement this. This will be great, guys. You're talking polar opposites, essentially. And they're saying, well, if we do this like Europe's model, it will be great, when in fact we don't have the infrastructure, and that's the issue. And Mr. Darius says that he wants to punish drivers for using the road. Well, why don't I punish you and make you pay a tax for voicing your opinion? I mean, it's completely ridiculous, and it's like especially with the gas tax increase, these traffic commissioners want you to pay more to drive when there are a lot of hardworking people like myself that just commute out. What's the mindset behind this? I don't get it. Now, and I do have a clip later of him admitting to the same thing when I was trying to interview him until my SD card ran out. But again, this is showing the arrogance of City Council and the Traffic Commission.
Okay. Let's try to move forward now. So
in this clip here coming up, I talked to Commissioner Darius after the meeting. I had my mic with me. I was recording. And interviewed him to get his opinion, and here's some clips from the interview.
Or a Holland,
Yeah.
I mean, when the freedom is what, when I lived in Sweden for 12 years, and I went to Swedish. Freedom was the thing that I always associated that feeling with, of being able to just bike here and there and never have to think about, traffic or, should I stop and have a beer?
Yeah. And the question I asked about was personal liberty and personal freedom of someone being able to choose whether or not they want to drive, take the train, or any mode of transportation to wherever they're going. And as you can tell by his response, he is for the opinion of everyone should bike to their location because it is freeing for him. But that's not freedom. That's him dictating very fascistly that I want everyone to take bikes. And this next clip of him talking again reiterates the point of him saying, after 5 years of people having to live with this, they'll get on a bike and get on board with the program, which again is very arrogant and not considerate of people's backgrounds, especially those who cannot afford other means of transportation. And this is, the only way they can get from point A to point B. So the next clip here goes a little more into that.
There's different, and that's why as I said, I'm open to discussion, especially with the side that is pushing the lane reduction. It's like, well, why don't we come to like a middle ground and say, let's, instead of just reducing it all here, because we know, I assume you live nearby Lucadia, right off there, so you know how busy it is, especially during rush hour. Everyone's trying to cross the tracks, and there's 3-4 crossings throughout the whole area of Encinitas. That's the bottleneck. You can't solve the bottleneck there by reducing in lanes, and especially in those areas, it's going to increase the bottleneck.
Well, I think I'm going to walk around.
Yeah, no problem.
It'll be a temporary thing, right? There'll be probably like a 5-year-long period or whatever.
Yeah.
When drivers are even more pissed off than they are now, but people will then get used to it, and they'll say, get to a point where they'll just say, I'm getting a bike too.
Yeah.
And then we're all going to reap the benefits of that.
So you're saying essentially the people that are living or working further away, they should move just to closer to their commute.
Well, I think that if you're going to go on a longer kind of a commute, you should take the freeway.
Right.
And hopefully the freeway will be able to accommodate.
Right. But the people living like on your area of Lucadia that have to go to the freeway, how is that going to impact them if they have jobs outside of the area?
Well, why can't they get to the freeway?
And this shows the arrogant or the lack of knowledge for some of these traffic commissioners. They were put on the commission by the mayor and some members of city council due to the fact they wanted to sponsor this more eco-friendly bike everywhere program, bike walk, the mass transit, whatever. So the problem is, say for example, you're over by Juanitas. I'll use Juanitas as a good avenue there because for my example, because I go there all the time for good food, and that's a shout out to Juanitas. Great food, by the way. In any case, off Marquez Street there and Coast Highway 101, say you lived over in that neighborhood and you need to get to the freeway. Well, you have two options: you go to Encinitas Boulevard or you go to Lucadia Boulevard. Now, if it's one lane in either direction, and we've seen it numerous times when it floods down there when it goes down to one lane, or if there's an accident, traffic gets backed up. Lane dining doesn't work because now you're going to have people saying for say 10 minutes, I'm just throwing out a number, you're now doubling or tripling the time it takes to get through there due to the rail quarter, and you can't adjust the roads down there. There are only several at-grade crossings left within the city, and they're not allowing any more at-grade. So that's not going to solve it by adding another at-grade crossing. What they need to do is make the system more efficient, and to do that, you're going to need more lanes and stuff, so you're going to have to expand the auxiliary lane for I believe at least getting onto Lucadia Boulevard, and that would include making some adjustments to Jasper Street, and when you get to Lucadia Boulevard there, they're going to have to make some adjustments in that area. And in terms of the coastal rail trail, once that goes through that segment, I'm all for a streetscape with street parking and bike lanes, right? But you need to at least go into the right-of-way of the rail corridor and expand the road. You have enough room right now where you just shift parking to one side, and then there's actually a couple different ways of doing it. You can either shift parking over to one side and have bike lanes on the other side, a full bike lane, or what you can do is move the bike lanes over onto the rail corridor like it is through Solomon Beach, where they have the trail there, and you have pedestrian and everything there, and then you signalize the lights, or you add signaled signals at any of the major intersections or roundabouts, which the roundabouts could also have a traffic signal at for cyclists crossing and whatnot. And there's a lot of safety things you can put into play without having to lane diet. And they've already done this in other cities, but it seems like the city of Encinitas has become politicized in the traffic department, and it's unfair to those who commute out of the city just because it's like saying this. If you're running track and field and I say, well, I think everyone should pay for, I want the city to build something just for me to use. I want you to build this track just only for me to use on this property. It's unrealistic. It's not fair to the taxpayers. They could spend the money more efficiently. So that's my 2 cents on the issue. I hope you guys agree. And let the traffic commissioners know your voice is saying, hey, don't reduce lanes. Don't give us another headache getting to work in the morning. And attend these meetings just to tell these guys what they need to hear, because otherwise they're going to continue down their same path, and it's going to affect all of us living in the city. Anyways, guys, this is Spencer with CFSM Media, also with civicplanner.com, giving you an update on what's happening at Encinitas City Council with all the shenanigans, including the anti-American not standing for the flag stuff. So there's that too going on in the city. So fun times. Anyways, signing off, and stay classy, San Diego.